And that Gideon finally he got an army, and the Lord reduced that down, but he ended up defeating the enemy. But Gideon had to develop his trust and develop his faith. And through all these things, he had to learn that, because he wasn't ready to just make the choice at the very beginning, say, okay, you're God, I believe you. Now I want to go to the Daniel. We're going to look at the Hebrew children. The fact of the matter is they weren't actually children. Daniel and the other three there had actually been in captivity for about 40 years, I think, because they were taken captive in around 605, according to the chronological time order thing that's given in the Scripture. So they had to dwell in the house of the enemy for about 40 years before they experienced this fiery furnace event. And if you look at the story, there is not necessarily any great things that happened before this where you could actually recognize that, well, this happened to increase their faith. Okay? Even Daniel's event occurred after this one. It was some 50 years later. Okay?
Jesus.
So, when you look at the Hebrew children, 3:16. Let's back up to 15. Daniel 3:15. Now, this is the king talking to them, okay, because they had refused to bow down and worship the idol. So the king, he's not really wanting to put an end to their life. He kind of wants to give them an opportunity to recount, okay, to back up from their faith. So he said, now if ye be ready, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and the dulcimer, and all kinds of music, if you fall down and worship the image which I have made, well, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. Meaning that they took no concern for it. They were just going to lay it out on the line. There was nothing they were holding back. Man. Now remember, they have not had the opportunity that Abraham had of having these years of miracles to occur around them. And like Gideon, all these signs to confirm their faith. They just made the decision right there. As if this ability to trust was just inherent in them. It was there. It didn't have to be nurtured or cultivated. And it was all about choice. They chose to go ahead and believe in God, whereas Abraham had to grow and learn, and Gideon had to go through the same thing. But anyhow, they say, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace. And he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which has been set up. So, my topic or my title was Trust. Is it an inherited trait or an acquired trait, or is it just there? And it appears from the scriptures that it is both. But what it really boils down to is choice. The Hebrew children just chose to do it without being nurtured or developed to have that trust, whereas others, not so. And I believe David was such a person, much like these. It seemed to be inherent in him, and the Lord loved him for that. All right, let's go look at Hebrews 11:6, I think. We have to have trust, or as we said, faith, or confidence. Because if you look at Hebrews 11:6, it tells us, but without faith It is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. So we can't please God without having that trust. Now, whether it takes us a while in our life to go through things, through events, to develop that trust, is really up to us. Or we can step out by faith and just say, yes, Lord, I'm going to believe you, just like Peter stepped out on the water. It's just there. Make the choice to believe you. We must learn to trust God even when it seems he fails to deliver us. In the sense that the Hebrew children had to go into the furnace. God did not deliver them from the event, but he delivered them through the event. Daniel, he delivered through the event. He had to go into the lion's den, but God delivered him out of it. He didn't keep him from having to go there. So there are times and things that happen in our life. Remember that nothing happens in your life or my life that God has not sanctioned. There are no surprises. There are no accidents that happen. In God's mind, there is nothing unknown to him. So everything that has come your way, he is well aware of it. And in a sense, he has sanctioned it to occur in your life. It's not a mistake. It is part of your life, your cross, that he is using to mold and develop you into what he wants you to be. Everything that happens. I want to read you something. When I was kind of working on this, and I had to get in there, and it turned out that this Sunday's lesson, unknown to me at the time, was about Gideon. And there was something in the book that really, I thought, well, gee, that's just right in there. I'll read it to you. There will come a time in the life of every Christian when God visits with a call, a duty to fulfill, a chore to accomplish, a purpose for the very existence of the one called. How will we respond? In fear or in absolute trust and obedience? It is our choice. We choose. So I want to leave you with that, and then I have this, I think Ecclesiastes 12 and 3. Ecclesiastes 12 and 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God, keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. So from last week's time and this time, we have learned that, first of all, we have a cross. We have to carry it. It is not an optional thing. We cannot lay it down, pick it back up. That we must be 100% committed in our heart to God. Not that we're going to be perfect, but we must be 100% committed, must carry our cross. We must learn to trust him in all things. These are requirements. And it says that we must love him with our whole heart. And he tells us in John, as we learned last week, 14 and 15, if ye love me, keep my commandments. It's very simple. And there's no option there to pick and choose what you want to accept. And when he tells us in Proverbs, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding, it's pretty clear that